Alright, so first we're going to cut the stock down to its required size. This is the 1/4 inch panel that we use for the bolt box. Next we're going to cut down the piece of 3/4 stock, which is going to be used for the main body. And the lever arms, I picked up stock that was already 1/2 inch thick, so there was no need to cut that to size. It was already 1.5 inches. So here we're going to cut the parts for the bolt box. This bolt box is going to hold arrows that are about 6 1/8 inches long. While you guys are watching, why don't you take a second and hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, hit that notification bell. This way you'll be notified every time I post a new video. Thank you for that. Now we're cutting. This is a piece of red oak that we use for the actual bow, or the prod as they call it, for the crossbow. It is 1/4 inch thick, and I looked for the straightest grain piece I could find to try to prevent any kind of cracking when firing. And here we're cutting the lever arms, which is going to allow us to cock and shoot the crossbow. Now we'll cut up our dowels. These dowel pins are going to be used to hold the handle on, also to hold the body together. When we do install these, we're not going to glue them. We are just going to press them through. And here's a 1 inch dowel. We're going to slice this piece into 3/16 inches thick to make the washers that are going to separate the lever arm from the body to allow this crossbow to shoot. And here's all the parts we're going to need to put this together. So now we go to the bandsaw. We're going to cut the body. This piece we're going to cut off, and we're actually going to roll it over, and it's going to mount to the front of the stock to make it a little bit wider. That's according to the plans. And here we're going to notch out the piece that's going to actually allow the bolt box or the arrow box to stay in line with the crossbow. And then we're going to move on to the actual prod or the bow section. Now that we're done with the bandsaw, we're going to move to the drill press, and we're going to make all the holes we need for assembly. Here we're notching out where the trigger is going to run, and then we're going to take it over to the bandsaw and clean that up. Now I got ahead of myself, and I drilled the hole in the body for the bolt box will pivot on, and I did that before I glued the bottom on. So a quick fix, just I'm going to add some glue and a poplar dowel, which this is Poplar the project is made out of. And we're going to flush cut that, sand it down, and then we'll glue the bottom on, and this thing will be good as new. And we'll come back and drill the hole in its proper spot. Alright, now we're going to glue on the actual tail piece. That's going to allow you to hold it into your waist while you're pulling the handle. And this is the lever. So we're going to glue in the dowels, and then we will glue the handle piece to the end. Now there's little pieces of 1-inch oak we're going to glue to the end of the prod or the bow, and these are going to be so that we can file in the notches for the string, so the string doesn't slip off when you shoot it. And here we're going to glue the bolt box up. It's fairly simple. We're just going to glue and clamp it. We're going to make sure we measure it, which I didn't show here, but we're going to measure to make sure they're the 1/6 of an inch for the bolts to fall into before we actually glue it together. You can see the end is sticking out a little further than the rest of it. That is from the measurement. And after it dries, we'll just come back and we'll clean all that up on the table saw. Now onto the groove we need for the arrows. We use this bit here, and we're going to run the groove in the bottom piece. This is where the trigger is going to lie, and then we were going to run it in the very front of the bolt box, which is going to allow the bolt to come out of this without any problems. Here we'll do a quick test fit. We'll just drop the bolt in, and to make sure it falls out of its hole. Now we're going to install the trigger, which is a 3/8 dowel in the hole with a 1/2 dowel cut and nailed to it, which is basically just going to stick out the bottom, and when it contacts the bottom plate, it's going to push up and push the string out. So now that's all done, we're going to glue this arrow box together, or bolt box. Okay, while that bolt box is drying, we will take a file and we will start filing out the grooves for the string. I take it to a certain point with this, and then I move to the drill. I took a square drive bit and put some sticky sandpaper on it, and actually used that to sand it out and get the groove where I needed it. Alright, so we're going to break out the rounded orbit sander, and we're going to give this whole project a quick sanding. Get all the edges nice and smooth so it feels good in your hands. So now I have to attach this whole front piece, and it was giving me a hard time. So this is the way I figured I'd do it. I clamp the body down. I'll put the bow on first, and just not braid nail it, but pin nail it to the project, just to hold it in place to make this a little bit easier. Then we're going to screw the piece on that's going to hold the bow in place and keep the bolt box in alignment while you're firing it. And I used a piece of wood here in place of the bolt box to get everything straight. There's a little bit of a little nick, or it appears to be maybe with a knot. And this might be a problem for this limb. This might make it break. So what we're going to do is try to smooth this out and get rid of that. See if it helps. And if it doesn't, this limb might just snap on the first shot. So let's give it a try. So I took the plane to both sides of the limbs, got everything nice and rounded over, sanded it down, and it came out pretty good. All right, so there it is. After we hand planed it, sanded it, smooth. It's still a knot, so I'm kind of hoping it doesn't break. But we'll find out. So let's get this thing put together. Then we got to figure out what we're going to do for a string. Alright, so assembly was quick. It was a little bit of a pain in the neck getting everything lined up, but not too terrible. The dowels fit snug. They're not glued in. This way you can disassemble it if you have to make a repair or fix something. It is poplar. It's not the strongest wood in the world, but it should do the trick. This is, it's not a real weapon. It's basically just above a toy, if you ask me. I mean, you can do some damage with it, but it's nothing you're going to be able to hunt with or take anything out with, basically. And I did come up with a string. I found a piece of paracord I had, and I used that. It's pretty good. I think it's stretched out a little bit, so it's going to be a pain in the neck. So I'm kind of hoping maybe I could find an actual small crossbow string that might actually fit this thing. Alright, so we got this thing together. Let's check the mechanics of it. I mean, we don't have a string on it yet, but let's make sure everything works the way it's supposed to. So it goes forwards, it'll grab the string, come back, and fire the arrow. And what we'll do is we'll get a close-up of it so you can actually see the actual firing pin and how it actually works. See, it drops down. As it comes down, it pushes the string up and fires the arrow. Alright, so here it is with the string installed and the bolts laying next to it. So the next thing to do is let's test it out. Alright guys, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.